Hello everyone, Mario Velasco, owner broker for EP Star Realty. And today we're gonna be looking into the addendum concerning right to terminate due to lender's appraisal. This form, you can also find it on your TREC forms as TREC 49-1. And just to let you know, this form, you can only use it on a conventional loan. You cannot use it on a FHA or VA. Because they already have an escape clause as far as appraisal. So let's go ahead and get started. The first blank that we're gonna fill in is the address of the property. Okay. Now we have three options here. The first one is the buyer waives completely the rights to terminate the contract if the appraisal comes in low. So to give you an example is if you have a contract for $200,000 and the appraisal comes in at $100,000, that means that the buyer has to come in with additional $100,000 to make up to the sales contract. So this really is not a benefit to the buyer. It does benefit to the seller, not to the buyer. Okay. So in option number 2, if you select this one you have a partial waiver. The buyer has a partial waiver. Just to give you an example on this partial waiver is the buyer, let's say same scenario, you're in a contract for $200,000, but the buyer is willing to pay only additional $10,000 if the appraisal comes in low. So in this case, we will write down $190,000. So if the appraisal comes in low, let's say $150,000, the buyer will have the right to terminate the contract at this point. Now, if the appraisal comes in low at $190,000, then the buyer will have to pay the additional $10,000 on the difference from the sales price to the appraised value. Now, something to mention, really important, is that this amount, this $10,000, is aside from the closing cost and from the down payment. So that means the buyer will have to come in with a closing cost, down payment, and the additional $10,000. So that's something very important to remember. Okay, so now let's jump to the option number 3. On this one is the best protection to the buyer, because right here we're gonna state that if the appraisal doesn't come to the value that is set in the contract, the buyer has the right to terminate the contract and the earnest money will be refunded to the buyer. So just simply write down the amount of the price that is set on the contract. So this gives a benefit to the buyer. Definitely. And at the end of the form, simply the buyers have to sign and the sellers have to sign on this side. So very simple form, very important, and hope this really helps you in your forms. If you have any questions, you can contact me at 915-329-5829. If you are an agent from another brokerage, you can contact your broker with any questions. And thank you for your time, and see you in another video.